like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.
Currently here as part of the Celebrating Meatloaf tour. How have those shows been going for you so far?
Actually, they've been great. I mean, we came here for the first time last year.
Mhm.
The audiences have doubled, at least, and they've been great with 3 shows in. Number 4 tonight in Newcastle,
Mhm.
and it's just been really, really great. Meat himself has always been really big here in the UK,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Mhm.
yeah, we're feeling a lot of love, and the band is feeling great, and we're playing great, and yeah, it's just a really beautiful, beautiful time.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about this week.
And this is exactly what it says on the tin, an evening of Meatloaf's finest moments, live on stage by the band who backed him up for many, many years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you're joined by Paul Crook, formerly of Anthrax, and John McKelly, who played in Rainbow and Blue Öyster Cult.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be back out on the road with those guys playing these songs together?
Well, they are my brothers in arms. You know, I've been friends with John McKelly since 1990, and I've been friends with Paul since, I guess, the late 90s, and then we first worked together in We Will Rock You out in Las Vegas in '04. So as far as being a musical unit, that started there. They were already in Meatloaf.
Yes. Yeah.
I had just left Blue Öyster Cult, and but it just feels great because they're part of the musical family, and we've always had a really great chemistry, and it continues. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So how often do you get this opportunity to tour like this, bearing in mind you're busy with Blue Öyster Cult and everybody else has got projects as well? It must be difficult aligning all of your schedules to get this up and running.
It is hard to align it. Caleb Johnson, the lead singer, has got a lot going on. He's got a solo career. He's in Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He writes in Nashville. He's got a lot of things going on. So to get everybody's schedule together, we play when we can.
Yeah.
And we want to make this an annual thing here, going to the UK.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Do you take this over to Europe as well, or is it just primarily America and the UK at the moment?
Right now, at the moment, that's it. We're looking, to expand it. I mean, I think we did a month-long tour of Germany only at one point, and Australia. Meat's big all over, but I would say Europe was where I'd say the bulk of his fans were. So we're looking, to me, it's word of mouth, getting the word out, because we want to make it clear, like, this is not like some tribute thing or whatever. This is really his band.
Yes.
And, but like anything else, you could call it whatever you want. You got to prove yourself.
Yeah.
You got to put your money where your mouth is. So we did very well here last year, and more people are coming back. A lot of people are telling us that, say, went to one show last year, we're going to 3 this year.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
I can't blame them. I can't say, oh, great, let's just sign up for the whole tour. Let's see how you guys play.
Yeah.
How it is.
Excellent. So Caleb Johnson's got that unenviable task of presenting Meatloaf's incredible voice. So what was it about Caleb that you felt was right for this band?
Oh, wow. Well, I know so many things. He, to me, he does justice to the music, to the melodies, and then some. And he puts his own twist on it. He's from the South. He's got a lot of that real natural, amazing soul, which I have always been in love with. Southern rock, blues, R&B, and it gives a new twist to these melodies. Jim Steinman came from a specific place when he was writing this, and he was great about writing for a singer specifically, and he knew how to write for Meatloaf. And if he was writing a song for someone else, he would do that and really focus on it, but it's amazing how Caleb sits in with this stuff and how he makes it his own without straying too far. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't want to go too far away from the originals, even if you sung it yourself in the first place. The music belongs to the people, especially if it's popular.
Yeah.
And straying too far away may take them on a journey that they may not want to go on. So I feel like we're faithful enough, but he also is putting his own stamp on it. He's very much being Caleb. I love it.
Yeah, so there's no Spinal Tap Jazz Odyssey moments on here. You're playing
Not yet. Not yet. There will be a bass all tonight.
Yeah.
There'll be a 15-minute intermission.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
So how did you end up hooking up with Meatloaf in the first place? How did you make that initial connection together?
Well, I mean, we were all friends. John and Paul were dear friends of mine, and I knew Randy. I knew a lot of people from the band and crew, Long Island people, where I'm from, and I was available, and there was a change going on in the band around 2010, and I think Meat said, why don't you call up your friend Danny, and which I had known him. He had seen me play with Queen, and so that connection kind of helped too. So. Yeah. It just morphed and it gelled. And the stars just aligned, and it was the right thing to do. And it was cool.
Yeah. Because you played on the last two Meatloaf albums, 2011's Hell in a Handbasket and the last album, Braver Than We Are. What was the experience of working in the studio with Meatloaf like? What was he like as a musician in the studio?
Well, to be honest with you, when I was recording those records, I think I did maybe 3 records with him. I can't remember. But we only did 1 or 2 sessions where we were all there live. Right. We kind of piecemealed it because we were on the road so much. So I did the lion's share of my parts in my house. And but a couple of times out in L.A., working with Rob Cavallo and stuff, we were all there, and Meat was great. Meat was very musically intuitive, if you know what I mean. Yeah. He listened to everything, and he doesn't necessarily speak musician, if you know what I mean, but he speaks in a way that musicians can understand. If he liked something you did or wanted you to do something, he had a way of explaining it. It doesn't have to be notes themselves. Yeah. He could talk in colors and attitude, and his clarity for that was very cool.
Yeah. Because you mentioned John Kelly, your partner in the rhythm section. He also played with Blue Öyster Cult. Although you didn't record with him, did you play together in Blue Öyster Cult on the road?
Many times. He was never an official member of the band. But there have been times where he would fill in, even before I came into the fold, pre-95. In fact, he along with Greg Smith, helped get me an audition for the guys. But he would come in and sub for several weeks at a time. Yeah. So, we caused a little bit of trouble in the States together over the years. Yeah. My partner in crime.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, we saw you over in the UK with Blue Öyster Cult last year. You did the tour with Deep Purple, but you also played City Hall, where you are tonight, on a headline show. And of all the times I've seen Blue Öyster Cult over the years, many times, that was one of the best set lists I've ever seen. We had Telepaths, we had Astronomy, we had Seven Screaming Disbusters, John Crawford. It was just the works. It was a great night, that.
Yeah. Thank you. It's great about what I love about Eric Bloom is that I don't know. We have a set list, but he gets into this headspace where he can read a crowd and he can read where the band is, and he gives us that look sometimes, like you better grab a seat because we're going to be here all night.
Yeah,
I like that.
It was the longest set list of the whole tour, I think. The nice thing is when I saw you a few days later at Leeds opening for Deep Purple, there was about 3 or 4 songs that you hadn't done at the Newcastle show. So there's a lot of variety in the set lists. if you see Blue Öyster Cult from night to night, which has always been a good thing about the band. You've now been with them on and off for sort of over 3 decades. I mean, can you recall that initial meeting where you were invited to join the band?
Well, I remember the initial meeting, the audition, which was very bizarre. I was in Eric's basement with Donald, with Buck and Eric, and there was no drummer, there was no band, there was this kind of organ with a rhythm box, and we played along to that. And it was a very bizarre audition, I will say that. And but they weren't quite sure who they were going to choose, but they needed someone in a pinch because Greg Smith had to leave earlier than expected. So they needed someone for a weekend, a 3-day weekend. So Eric called me. So I figured, you know what? I didn't feel great about the audition, but I figured, you know what? 3 gigs. If they're not happy with me after 3 gigs, then I'm not their guy.
Yeah.
You know, to be fair, that's probably the best, barometer. So they never officially said to me, "Congratulations, you're in the band." I just kept coming around. In fact, I don't think I am. You know.
So you're still waiting for the official invitation?
Yeah, I mean, they just said, "Listen, we're still making up our minds. Okay, what are you doing next week? Also, okay, listen, we need your passport. We're going to Europe."
Yeah.
Okay, so I just kept showing up. I think that phrase, "What's understood doesn't have to be discussed," you know?
Yeah.
And, when I came back in whatever it was, 2016, 2017, after Meat retired, Eric called me and we were kind of laughing. He goes, "Well, this is familiar." He goes, "Does it need a title?" He says, "You're home. You can, it's like coming home.
Yeah.
You have a seat at the table, and this will always be your home."
Oh,
and it's nice. I mean, after all of these years, I've spent more time with these guys than my own family.
Yeah, that's
it's half my life have been with these geezers here. So,
yeah, because I think you'd had 3 years of touring on the road before you did Heaven Forbid in '98.
Yeah.
Do you think that constant touring paid dividends for you by the time you got into the studio for the first time? You got to know what the band was like, what Buck and Eric were like to work with. Do you think that?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I think they were sorting out a record deal. They had recorded some songs over the years prior to me joining, and the band was really smoking. We were working a lot, well over 100 gigs a year. And I think Eric and Alan and Donald says, "This needs to be documented.
Yeah,
this band needs to be recorded." And so when they secured a record deal, we did it the old-fashioned way. We basically played live in the studio, of course, overdubs and stuff, but we grinded it out because Chuck Berge on drums and myself. It was a great band. It still is, of course, but what I'm saying is that it was a new band. I mean, because I was in it, and then Chuck Berge would come in and out, but it was a really wonderful time to document these things that I've been playing, like "See You in Black," "Harvest Moon." Now we get to record them. So I figured I'd finally learn them. for real.
I mean, that was going to be a question about the whether there was an air of positivity in the studio going in to make that record, because I think with Club Ninja, the band was in a bit of turmoil. Imagine Us, it was probably more a record label thing with Albert Bouchard's solo album and people coming in. But this was a proper band album, and I think when you listen to it, it sounds like that. Like I said, "See You in Black," "Harvest Moon," "Power Underneath Despair," "Live for Me," all great songs, and it comes across in the record when you listen to it. So Buck and Eric wrote the bulk of material along with John Shirley doing the lyrics. How do they present their ideas to you? Do they bring in demos, or would you play through the stuff and build it up from there?
Well, with Heaven Forbid, Donald would say, we would rehearse and say, I have this song. And he would start playing it. And I don't remember any polished demos. Some of them, like Power Underneath the Spare, things like Harvest Moon, had already been recorded in some version, and we wound up re-recording it.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, I have a thing, I have an idea, and we looked at each other like, okay, this is going to be good, and they allowed us to put our I guess you could put our personalities into it. It wasn't like, okay, this is the demo, this is the bass, and play it this way, and this is the drums and play it that way. Maybe some of it was, but it was a lot of it was done in the room, in the rehearsal space, and a lot of people would be throwing out ideas. Instigating arrangement ideas and stuff, like a band behaves. Because at the end of the day, to me, a band in its best way is a gang.
Yeah.
And it's all for one and one for all. And everybody can be swayed in either direction because of a certain person's ideas.
Yeah.
And so that was a nice way of forming this stuff. And like you said, I think it shows on the record. I think when you hear the record, you go like, this is a good band.
Yeah.
It's a good band. Yeah.
And it was only 3 years for the follow-up, Curse of the Hidden Mirror. Were there some ideas already up and running by the time you started working on this that you'd been working on the tour for Heaven Forbid?
Yeah, I did. I was doing a lot of writing and I was submitting a lot of demos. So I've got a few co-writes on.
Yeah.
So they would say, I like this, but I don't like, I like just this part from your demo. So let's take this and put it into something else. So more people got their hands on things. And so, we knew more ahead of time we're going to do a record, start writing, and, so that was also a lot of fun to do as well.
Yeah. And I think having those writing credits on Curse make that an extra special album for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was really proud to see my name as a co-writer, and also just as an opinion, like if Eric and Donald say, so what do you think about this? And knowing your place, you always have to stay in your lane. But if someone genuinely wants your opinion, it's an honor, because it's their band.
Yeah.
And
a couple of years later, you left the band, and Richie Castellano came in. Rudy Sarzo, Kasim Sultan as well, stepped into your shoes. At that point, did you just want to spread your wings and do something a little bit different and just get out there?
Well, I left to join We Will Rock You, the Queen show. And it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up, not knowing that 3 months later I would be joining Queen. So that, that went on for like 5 years. And then immediately after that, not long after that, I stayed in Las Vegas and continued to do theater as like my day job. I did Mamma Mia, which I loved. I would have done that for the rest of my life. Yeah, because I can go on tour. I was filling in for BOC and playing with Queen, and then eventually playing with Meatloaf. But I loved that as my day job. I loved doing theater, and so basically I stayed. Because of Queen, I stayed. But I don't think there was ever a year that I didn't play with Blue Öyster Cult. Even when I was officially out of the band, I was always filling in for Rudy or Kaz or something. I even did a weekend on guitar and keyboards. Sometime, I don't remember, but it was always, there was always an open door thing, and we always remained friends. And I always loved getting a call like, well, I get to see my old friends.
Yeah. I think it's always nice when it's like, I always think of Alice Cooper's band's a bit like that people can leave, but they're always free to come back and play a few shows as and when. And I think it creates a nice atmosphere, and it's nice for the fans seeing old faces coming back amongst the new ones as well.
It is nice.
So that was a great opportunity though to play with Queen and Paul Rodgers. I mean, we saw you a couple of times in the UK on tour. And the chance to play those songs in those huge arenas was just too great an opportunity to turn down, really, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was an offer you couldn't refuse.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did you have any input on the songs that were chosen, or was that down to Brian and Roger? Did they?
No, that was up to them.
I suppose the set list pretty much picked itself, really, doesn't it? People want to hear the hits rather than Ogre Battle and March of the Black Queen from the second album, for example.
Yeah. I mean, with Queen, especially that it had been so many years, they hadn't toured since Freddie was around.
Yeah.
To start playing deep cuts and B-sides and exploring. That's not what the band, as you know, was about. Grateful Dead. It's not like that. More like the Rolling Stones. You want to hear Jumping Jack Flash, and they have so many songs that are not hits.
Yeah,
but you've only 2 hours flies by really quickly when you have 100 albums.
Yeah,
and too much. I mean, I remember I saw Elton John. Elton John, is my absolute favorite, and he played 3 hours. And I could tell you a dozen songs right now that I wish he played. The problem is he's got too many good songs.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm just going to start, exploring my jazz concepts now. It's just, he just has too many good songs. You can only do so much.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing with BOC. Eric knows that a lot of people come to many shows, sometimes several in a row.
Yeah.
And he thought that it would be a disservice to them as well as to us to do the same show every night.
Yeah. And you can see
it
that
makes
when you
it
see
boring.
Yeah.
It makes it boring. You start thinking about baseball or something while you're up there playing instead of the music, because here we go again,
Yeah. Keeps you on your toes, not knowing what's coming next as well, isn't it?
I never look at the set list. Yeah. Like Eric says to me, "Do you want to know the set?" I go, "No, I don't see it until I'm out there."
Yeah.
Because I figured chances are I know everything. And if I don't, it's too late to learn it now anyway. So I like to be surprised by it. I don't like to think about it. I just look at what's the first song, figure it out.
Absolutely. Just the last few questions about the current setup. Because a few years ago, when I interviewed Eric, he said that the world wasn't waiting for a new BOC record when they asked about new material. What changed and resulted in The Symbol Remains in 2020 that made you want to do another record?
I don't know. That was their decision. I mean, I do agree with them. I don't think the world wants new music from anybody. I mean, they do and they don't. They say they want it. And then, when you go and see them, they say, I don't want to hear the record. Just play the hits.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it?
It's a shame. It's a shame knowing that that you're going to put a lot of work into a piece of art, which because any music, whatever kind of songwriter you are or band, it's your art and it's something really close to you. Yeah. Knowing that even if it is in your minds a masterpiece, or that it's not going to set the world on fire. Yeah. It's a little strange, and not to say that should discourage you. But there is a deafening silence of a tree falling in the forest. And I think it's a fear for a lot of people. And then you start saying, well, why bother? And as soon as you say that, it starts changing things. So when we did The Symbol, we just went into doing the best record that we felt that we could do to satisfy us. And hopefully the people will be into it too. We weren't thinking about how well it may or may not do while you're doing it. I don't think that should be in the consciousness. So they just felt it was the right time to do it. Yeah.
And did you approach the writing and recording differently to when you did Curse of the Hidden Mirror 19 years earlier? Was it a different approach?
Well, we rehearsed a lot. We rehearsed for weeks for that, working it out on Long Island.
Yeah.
And so we were ready. We were fairly, we were very well rehearsed, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And we don't rehearse. This band does not rehearse.
Yeah.
No.
It was your first without Alan Lanier as well. You must have had mixed feelings working on the record without Alan's presence there.
Well, it's to say it's bittersweet for me is an understatement. I miss him desperately every
Mm,
day,
yeah.
especially when I'm around those guys. I miss his presence. There is an essence to me that will eternally be missing,
Mm, yeah.
and I was quite fond of Alan, and his spirit
Yeah.
to me was vitally important to this band, and I miss him, and I miss that, and I thought about that a lot. Like I hope he's happy, and
Yeah.
I don't know if he's looking down, saying, "No, this is good," or like, "Ah, it's all rubbish." I don't
No,
know.
I
I
don't
don't
think so.
know.
I think you like it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But bless him, bless Alan.
Abs- Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Richie's stepped forward and he's really grown into the part in Blue Öyster Cult. How big an influence was his presence on the making of this record?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't do any writing, so um, he was mostly, getting together with Eric and Donald. So as
Mm-hmm.
far as influencing me directly, no.
Yeah, yeah. Did you get the chance to work with Albert as well on That Was Me? Were you, because
No.
Albert's dipping in every now and then again, like you said, members come and
Yeah,
go.
Albert slips in and out, but I wasn't there for that, and it was good to
Mm,
know that he was on it. And Albert and I are friends, and now kind of neighbors. So yeah, it's always great to see people, members of the family, come
yeah,
back for a visit.
yeah. Well, Albert's up in Newcastle on the 29th of September on his Stories and Songs tour, and he's going
Yeah,
to do quite a bit of Imaginos, so it should be good catching up with Albert again.
yeah. Send him my best.
Oh, well.
I wish we missed each other by a week or so, but it would have been
Yeah,
cool to see him.
absolutely. I mean, the unanimous reaction from the fans and the press was that The Symbol Remains was not only a great album, but it was actually one of the best of your career. How does that make you feel when, you put all that work into it, you're not sure what was going to happen, but the reaction that came back was universally positive? It must have been very satisfying to sort of see that.
Yeah, it was. It was satisfying. It's always good to hear that kind of positive feedback,
Hmm.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's maybe one more album left in the band?
I have no idea. They don't say.
Mhm.
They never say. I mean, like I said, I'm still waiting to be told I'm in the
Yes.
band. Um, you
Yeah.
know, um, I don't know. I would say probably not,
Mhm. Yeah.
but
We-
never say never.
Yeah, I mean, we did get Ghost Stories, which was a surprise release, which was a sort of worked up version of some old demos and what have you. So you never know. You never know what's around the corner. What about
Yeah.
UK shows for next year? Could there possibly be a couple of dates for you next year over here?
I mean, it is possible. I mean, there's nothing on the table that I'm aware of as of yet, but it's always possible. It would be nice.
It would.
Um, there's nothing cooler than playing in the UK with Blue Öyster Cult, and just Europe in general. It's just
Yeah.
great. That last tour we did, I forgot what it was, maybe 2 years ago, where we did some French gigs and the Belgian gig, and it was just madness. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They love BOC, and Eric likes to get deep,
Yes.
and they dig stuff. Get the cobwebs off of some of these older things, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like being tested. I like that.
Yeah.
So I hope maybe we will.
I hope so.
I haven't heard either way, but God willing, we'll come again.
Yeah. Just last question. So, what are your plans for the rest of the year, both with Blue Öyster Cult and for your other musical projects?
Well, I'm doing, I've got the Celebrating Meatloaf BOC. I've got some, rock symphonies that I do in the States.
Mhm.
I'm recording with Bad Penny, my other band that I write with. And so going back, I go back next week. I got BOC shows. We have the Celebrating Meatloaf shows. So kind of going back and forth with that, and I'm doing a lot of sessions for studios around the country remotely, of course.
Yeah.
And have studio will travel, and I love it. I love sitting home. My girlfriend Michelle and I, we live mostly outside of Chicago, and I just love sitting there in the studio and playing bass parts for people in Las Vegas or wherever. It makes me very happy. I love to make music with all different kinds of people.
Great. So
that's the plan.
Busy times ahead.
Yeah, busy times. Got to feed the meter, and and busy times ahead, and and traveling and seeing the world, and making friends, and making music, and hopefully making people happy.
Brilliant, Danny. It's been an absolute pleasure. Best of luck with your show tonight in Newcastle. Hopefully we can catch up again very soon.
I hope so.
Thanks very much for your time. All the best. It's been great talking.
All the best. Stay well. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
If you like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.